Okay, so we're going to solve this problem now. I go fly a kite. The distance from me to a spot directly below the kite is 20 feet more than the height of the kite. The kite string is 100 feet long. How high is the kite? And I had told you guys and the students here, see if you could set this up on your own and come up with your variables. So in this case, let's see. There's the ground. There I am. And then I have a kite. Right there. Best drawing in town, I know. Okay, and then I'm told what? The distance from me to a spot directly below the kite is 20 feet more than the height of the kite. We said if you're looking for more than one quantity, find the quantity that everything is compared to and let that be your x. So let's see. The distance from me to directly below the kite is 20 feet more than the height of the kite. So let the height of the kite be x. And then the distance from me to the kite is 20 feet more than that. So x plus 20. The length of the kite string is 100. So that's 100 right here, my hypotenuse. We have a right triangle, set it up and solve it, right? So we get what? X plus 20 squared plus x squared equals 100 squared. Solve it all out. FOIL this out. X times x is x squared. X times 20 is 20x. 20 times x is 20x. 20 times 20 is 400. Plus x squared equals 100 squared, which is 10,000. Now again, that's a quadratic. Set it equal to 0 and solve. X squared plus x squared is 2x squared. 20x plus 20x is 40x. Then you have 400. Subtract the 10,000 over.
9,600.
Minus 9,600. Now solve that out however you want. In this case, it's a common 2 in all three terms, so factor it out, just to make the numbers smaller. X squared plus 20x minus 4,800 equals 0. Now solve that. You can actually factor it. It's not that challenging to factor if you think about it a little. If not, or the quadratic formula. Since I'm assuming you've all already had time to work through this, I'll just factor it. And you get x plus 80, x minus 60 equals 0. 6 times 8 is 48, so 60 times 80 is 4,800. Not a big deal. This then gives me two solutions. X equals negative 80, or x equals positive 60. We get two solutions. Which one is correct? Positive one, because it's the positive one in the real world. It's got to be positive. So x is 60. X plus 20 is 80. And if you actually use the Pythagorean theorem out, 60 squared plus 80 squared is 100 squared. But then, just because on some of your homework, both online and here in class, it popped up a few times on problems, make sure you answer the question you're asked. What is the actual answer we want for this?
How high is the kite?
Yeah, so what's the answer?
60.
60. The height of the kite in this case is x, so it's 60 and we're done. Just make sure when you're solving problems, you actually answer the question you're asked. And again, the other thing I will point out, because we've done a few of these now, and I will stress this on your homework and on exams when you do them, if it's any type of geometric problem, draw a picture. Draw a picture, draw a picture, draw a picture, draw a picture, draw a picture. It helps. You immediately see, oh, it's a Pythagorean theorem, it's a right triangle, and you're done. The setup is all done for you. Okay? One more we want to actually look at. There's a lot of quadratic applications you can do. You'll do a bunch for homework, but we can do one more. The sum of the squares of two consecutive numbers is 181. What are the numbers? And I am sure most of you in about 5 seconds can come up with the answer to the problem without doing any algebra at all. That's not the point. If I wanted to do that, I would just give you a number so big you couldn't possibly figure out the squares in your head, and it would just make this more cumbersome because of big numbers. The point is to set it up and understand how to set it up so that when I give you problems with bigger numbers, they will be easier to solve because you'll understand the setup, right? So what am I looking for? How many quantities?
3.
2. What are the numbers? The sum of the squares of 2 consecutive numbers is 181. What are the numbers? We're looking for 2 numbers, right? So we said if you're looking for more than one quantity, find a way to write both quantities in terms of that, in terms of one of them. What do I do? If x is maybe my first number, how do you find the second one? X plus 1?
Or
Why?
minus.
Because the negatives don't come right after.
Yeah, you all know what consecutive means, right? It's like the next one, I don't have to define that. So if the first number is 10, the next one is 11. The first number is 20, the next one is 21. The first number is x, the next one is x plus 1. Now you have your variables, create your equation. And in this case, we're told the sum of the squares, so add up their squares. The first one squared, x squared, plus the second one, x plus 1 squared, equals 181. Make sure when you're writing these things, you put your parentheses on there correctly. I want to say the biggest mistake students most often make with problems like this in the last few we've done is to not put the parentheses around the x plus 1 and just have x squared plus 1, and it doesn't work. But now we solve it the exact same as every other one we've done so far, right? FOIL it out. X squared here. X times 1 is x. 1 times x is x. 1 times 1 is 1. And x times x is x squared. Equals 181. It's a quadratic. Bring everything to the left again. X squared plus x squared is 2x squared. X plus x is 2x. 1, subtract the 181, gives you minus 180. Equals 0. Now again, solve this out. To make it easier on yourself, there's a common 2 in all 3 terms. Factor that out. You get 2 times x squared plus x minus 90 equals 0. And now factor that, and all of you can factor it. 2 numbers whose product is negative 90, whose sum is 1, 10 and 9. You need a positive 1, so x plus 10, x minus 9. And you get x equals negative 10 or x equals 9. So what's my answer? X equals 9. So how many answers am I supposed to get? 2. So if x is 9, then what's the other one? 10. So 9 and then x plus 1 equals 10. Does that work? 9 squared is 81, 10 squared is 100, 100 plus 81 is 181. So we're done, right? No.
Plug 9 in.
The sum of the squares of 2 consecutive numbers is 181. We picked the positive because on all applications we always pick the positive because it's the real world and positives work, right? If x is negative 10, what's x plus 1?
Negative 9.
Negative 9. Negative 10 squared is 100, negative 9 squared is 81, 100 plus 81 is 181. So in this case, both of them work. Just be aware of that. Again, you're going to solve more problems like this for homework. In most applications, projectile motion, geometric type ones, yes, positives are the correct answer because you can't have negative length or width or time in the real world. But other applications, negatives are completely fine. Make sure you give me all possible answers. Check them, think about your work, and see if it makes sense or not. Sometimes we can do the exact same problem, but say the sum of the squares of two consecutive positive numbers. Then you would only take the positives and not the negatives. But this just says consecutive numbers. Those work, positives and negatives. So you have to include both sets. Got it? Good. Then the last little thing. Oh, I'll rewrite the whole problem. Let's see. This one will just set up the sums of the squares of two consecutive even numbers is, let's see, what should we use? 244. What are the numbers? And again, I'm aware that with a little bit of work, you can just come up with the numbers hitting buttons on your calculator. That's not the point. The point is the setup so that when you get more complex numbers, you can still do it. The sums of the squares of two consecutive even numbers is 244. What are the numbers? Once again, I'm looking for two quantities, so I let x be the first one. What is different about this one?
Even numbers.
Yeah.
Even.
I want two consecutive even numbers. So if x is the first one, how do I write the second one?
Plus 2.
Plus 2. If 6 is your first even number, you all know your evens and your odds. 8 is the next one. 2 more. If 14 is the first one, 16 is the next one, add 2. So we get x, and x plus 2 equals the second number. From there, is there anything different? No. The first one squared plus the second one, x plus 2 in parentheses squared, equals 244. I'm not going to solve that out. It's identical to the last one we did. Use it for practice. FOIL this out, bring everything to the left, factor out a common factor because there should be another common 2 floating around, and then get your answer. Will positives, negatives, both, neither work here?
Both should.
We just said two consecutive even numbers, so positives and negatives will work, so make sure to give both. Make sure you read the problems you're solving carefully so you know what it is you're looking for. Yes? Any questions on this? Okay, good. In theory, I could have asked the same question, but said two consecutive odd numbers. How would the setup change? If I wanted two consecutive odds, if x was my first number, what would the next number be?
It's still plus 2.
It would still be plus 2. You know your odds, 11, 13, 15, whatever. Can anybody tell what the answer to this is? No, don't say it. We'll leave it as a surprise, okay? See if the internet can figure it out. Okay? That should be all for right now.